So today's topic, I'm going to be talking about fear and personality. One of the core aspects of studying psychology is understanding how we have developed our connection between our capacity to love as well as our capacity to fear. And the two are often linked. When we're in fear, it's hard to act with love, and when we're in love, fear becomes irrelevant, and you're able to overcome the things you're afraid of. I believe that a lot of people who are studying personality are having either some type of thing they're afraid of, somewhere they're stuck, something you might be insecure about, or it might even be that you have some past traumas that are holding you back, things that might be conscious to you, or things that are happening in the unconscious, as Jung would often talk about. But, I'm not going to get that deep here. But what I do want to talk about is how fear and personality are connected. Yes, I think fear drove many of us to learn about personality. For me, there was a number of issues that I was having with myself and others, as well as pathways and opportunities and things like this that drove me to learn more about what is my personality, what's going on, and to learn more about myself. There's a lot to learn here. You don't want to stay stuck in it, but yes, fear is very informative. There is a lot to learn from what you're afraid of. If you're afraid of a spider, there are a lot of spiders in your house, but you haven't really learned what you need to know in order to catch the spider and set it free somewhere else, or even being comfortable with the spider or killing a spider, whatever your method is of how you want to deal with spiders. It's good to know that you're afraid of it. And part of why you're afraid of it is because maybe you don't know how to handle the situation. But yeah, anyway, it is possible to rise above your fears, whatever they are. You might not even know what you're afraid of, actually. But if you do know, it could have something to do with why you're really stuck. Oftentimes, we're actually in denial about what we're afraid of. It's good to know and to allow yourself to have the fear and to acknowledge the fear and talk about it. I don't want anyone to stay stuck in fear only. There might be some real actions that you need to take to naturally resolve those fears. So if you haven't, gotten a job or something, it could be due to you haven't applied, or you are afraid of what someone might say, or you're afraid that once you do take a step towards whatever it is, that you're not going to get a second chance, or your reputation will be ruined, or some image is going to be tarnished, or you're going to look desperate or something, or it'll just be a waste of energy. You might get the opportunity, whether it's a job or a relationship or a friendship, whatever. It might not even be what you want. And so you're so afraid of a possible future that doesn't work out that you're not moving in the present. It's very important for us to learn about how fear is holding us back. It's a tool. Fear is a tool. And with that tool, fear is also the work. On the other side of fear is a treasure. In Dune, they say fear is a mind killer. There's a whole rest of that quote. Basically, as I study personality here, my type has SETE in the savior functions. I have the demon, FINI. And so that's more of my shadow that I'm afraid of, or, it's hard for me to express myself authentically. If I don't accept parts of me, how am I going to present that to others? And then blast last, it's like, oh, who am I to talk about this, or whatever the blast last struggle is, or like, I'm not very eloquent, or I'm not a great speaker. These types of fears come up for myself. But even if I have those fears, I don't let it stop me. And, well, I didn't let it stop me today, but a lot of other times, yes, I've let fear stop me many times in my life, and probably many times in the future. But this is something we work with, right? Whether it's a new job, new opportunity, friends, a new city, you can have fear around that, but are you able to do the work anyway? And the big thing is that fear does keep you small. That's the big thing. Fear makes you a smaller force in this universe. You know, you're too afraid to do what you're put on this planet to do. And it also keeps you closed off. You're shrinking at the possibility of present action that would enable a brighter and better future, because you're afraid, or you're watching, you're like, okay, let me go 1 hour late to that party because I don't want to be too early, and then you missed an hour of the party, and the person you're supposed to meet just came in the beginning and left. And yeah, you're too afraid to act. You're too afraid to be yourself. So yeah, here I'm just saying that fear is the work. Continuing on that fear causes you to predict the future or ruminate on the past. At the end of the day, fear is not the present. When you're in fear, you're not acting on your will in the present. And in my previous video with Zoran Mamdani, I did cover vibes a little bit. So here I'm going to say, yeah, fear is a low vibration thing. And yeah, so we got elements here where you could be stuck in these lower aspects of vibrations, and you want to move into these higher ones. Now, as I'm saying that, it's not about becoming enlightened and just being in love and all that. It's about, I was commenting on like Facebook posts the other day, or just watching other people's posts. And yeah, sometimes I will comment with some of my own anger or fear, and then I'll maybe delete that. But really, when I'm interacting with other people, I want to bring a good vibe. And that takes work. We all experience the full range of the vibrations, but sometimes we can be closed off to the higher vibrations. And we need to acknowledge what we're feeling. Maybe we're feeling some shame, guilt, apathy. It's not something to demonize. It's not something to reject in yourself. You have to let yourself feel it. And then it might even be a joke. It might be funny. Yeah, just the other day, someone misspelled my name somewhere, and at first I was a little bit upset. My pride was hurt, right? I'm like, I want my name to be spelled right. Maybe get a little angry about it. But, eventually I let go. I let go of my anger around someone spelling my name wrong. It's all good. Who cares? And it's funny. It's actually funny to me that I was angry about that. It's like, wow, I have this number one flex, this ego. It's so cute that I would be upset about some name thing. And I was able to let go of it, but of course there's going to be some residual, It's like if you get like a small crack in your glasses or your phone screen, like, do you throw the phone away? It's like, maybe you can accept the crack, and maybe you can accept the faults a little bit. Maybe there's something you can glue over or just feel better about, and that's all right. You don't have to walk around with this injured pride. You have to just wake up to yourself and realize that, while you do feel fear because you're human, you don't have to sit in it. You don't have to sit in grief, guilt, shame, anger. You don't have to sit there forever. You let the emotions pass and flow through you, and you reach for those higher vibrations, and you give that positive energy to others because you're not feeling scarce about it. You're not in a scarcity mindset with it. You're not trying to withhold your love. You're not trying to withhold your joy. You're not trying to, if I'm going to respond to people's Facebook posts and I feel like dropping a heart, I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's weird for some dude to drop a heart on somebody's post. But sometimes I'm just in that loving state and I don't want to really come down from that. And that might have its own problems, but sometimes I just have to, because it's not matching other people's vibes if you're just hearting everything and everyone else is just hitting the normal like button. So sometimes I might just drop it just to just to match other people's vibes. But really, I'm a happy dude. I'm in that love and joy area a lot. Like I said, I get angry and fearful all the time, right? Not all the time, but like every day at some point, right? Like I live in New York. You go outside, you can get angry about something if you want to. But the point here is that fear is a part of us. Fear is human. But it's good to know that it's in your lower vibrational stack, and you can let go of it. You can acknowledge it. You can write about it. Speaking of which, yeah, we want to work backwards from abundance, or we want to work backwards from love, or the highest vibration that we're capable of channeling. We're capable of channeling a certain vibration, right? So I was just talking about journaling, and Tim Ferriss has a really good fear journaling exercise that he talks about in a TED Talk. So I'm going to link that in the description, because I want you to really get some value out of this video, and not just take it from my mouth, but understand that people have been talking about fear in general, right? And the unconscious, whether it's Carl Jung or Tim Ferriss. And you can talk to a therapist as well. But the point is, it's in your hands. It's in your control of how you address your fear and how you acknowledge it. I'll let Tim explain his process, but the idea is to reflect on your fears and conquer them in your mind. If you're only giving oxygen to those lower vibrational states, that's the kind of environment you're going to live in. But you want to start feeding your hope, so that your hopes and dreams are bigger than your fear, because you don't want to just be clipping coupons and saving money. You want to make more money, right? You want to increase your income, increase the revenue on the bottom line item in your financial accounting. You want to have more take-home pay. You want to have more hopes and dreams. You don't want to have less of it. Fear will tell us to hope less. Fear would tell us to dream smaller. But I hope that you and we don't give in to that fear. We don't give in to living smaller. And I understand this channel is about personality, and at the root of all of it is fear. A lot of us have fear of different aspects of ourselves. And when you can hope and dream and see abundance into all of your functions, into all of your aspects, then you can dream bigger and you can have more love and abundance in your life. It's not a weird word. Abundance is not a crappy word. It is something that you can accept. It is something that you can move towards. And I understand there are always going to be so many reasons. There are always going to be so many legitimate reasons why you should be in fear, why you should be insecure. But I wish you have the power to overcome the fear. And it might take time. You might need to cry it out. You might need to talk to someone. You might need to do meditation, journaling, or whatever your process is. Take a walk. Go, touch some grass, as they say. Smell a flower. But do whatever you have to do and move from fear into something else. But do acknowledge that fear. Don't skip that step. Yeah, working backwards from love. Understand that the love is available to you because you're human. And unless you're an AI reading this or watching this, you have access to love. Even the AIs have access to it, honestly. And you work backwards from there. Look, I've been processing the craziest stuff, from, things like genocide to war to poverty to broken economic systems. But at the end of the day, no matter how much pain and fear there is in the world, you can work backwards from love and abundance and hope. Forget about Obama. Who cares about someone having a slogan of hope? Forget what I'm saying here in this video. For you as a human, you want access to that. And yeah, so basically, judge others less because it goes both ways. If you're judging somebody else, you're going to hurt yourself. If you're afraid of something not working out, something might actually not work out. You got to have some room in your life for hopes and dreams. You got to have room in your life for not judging others. Because when you face your fears, anything is possible. And I'm not going to say anything about that because there are no limits. Like, fear is the floor, basically. This is the floor, and there is no ceiling, and you can fly much higher. But at the same time, you don't want to try jumping off a building or fighting tigers or anything crazy like that. Now that you watch this video, you can feel like you can do anything. I think you can have access to love, you can have access to abundance. My kid turned 2 years old recently. I'm very happy about that. And yeah, it's a lot of management of fear. When you're managing a 2 year old, you do want them to be a little afraid of hurting themselves. But at the same time, they need to have a healthy relationship with fear and still try things, still experimenting. It's honestly a wonderful experience with a lot of work and you know, but we all need to do that for ourselves, like managing our own fears, laughing at ourselves, and talking to other people, and sharing how funny it is that you're afraid of something. You don't have to be below those fears and judgments. You can laugh at it. You can sit on the side and point at it, and journal about it and in a nice positive tone. Yeah, there's a lot of things to cry about. There are a lot of things to be angry about. But I wish you all the best in facing your fears, whatever that is. I got just a little bit more, I guess. Who is the Sauron in your life? Who is the Eye of Sauron? Whether it's a person or a thing or a pathway, what is really hurting you or stopping you from living a more full life? The point of studying personality is so that we can face our fears, is so we can face our unconscious and fully integrate with all of who we are and live in a more positive, beaming light that's coming from ourselves. And I'll shout out Tasha. He has some good videos out there on, just stepping out of fear, breaking through the matrix, just being bigger than who you've been, not playing small, right? So, yeah, who is the Sauron in your life? Or what is it? Identify the fear, laugh at it if appropriate. Share your fears if you have support, if you have a supportive friend. Now, I understand some friends might be a little weird, but you can try sharing it. You can mitigate your fears. You got ChatGPT as well, by the way. You can mitigate your fears. As a Tim Ferriss talk explains, you can say, hey, like, what if this bad thing happens because I asked this girl out? You want to mitigate these fears. You want to come up with a plan of what are you going to do? If bad things happen, are you able to be resilient? Are you able to overcome that? Are you putting yourself in a dangerous situation that you can't come back from? Then maybe the fear is valid. And that's kind of what the fear journaling exercise will do is when you write it down, it's like maybe the fear is a valid fear, but there are things you can strategize around it. Maybe you can try something smaller. Maybe you can, if you're starting a business, you could start it at night, after you're doing the 9 to 5 or something. Anyway, you're setting up a way of facing your fears by reducing it somehow. The last thing here is that what is a bigger vision you could have in your life that would make the fear small? I used to have a really loud neighbor, but having a bigger vision for my life helped me make that problem small so that I could go. I ended up moving, but basically, you realize that you can't stay stuck in this weird situation because you're imagining something bigger over here that you don't have the time and energy and resources to deal with this fear over here. The bigger your vision is, the less you're going to be worrying about clipping coupons and having fear and cutting costs, things like that. So, anyway, in conclusion, I hope you can conquer your fear, use personality or psychology as a tool. Understanding yourself is going to help you acknowledge the fear recognize the fear in the first place. Before you can acknowledge it, you have to recognize that you're in a fearful state. That's step zero. And step zero is step one. So many times, myself, and I can see some others as well, sometimes we don't even know we're angry. We don't even know that we are afraid or ashamed or feeling some type of way. And we act like we put on this corporate face or some positive face. Really, we're feeling a lot of things. We just don't know. So anyway, I hope you conquer your fear, use personality or psychology as a tool, but at the end of the day, you're the one trying to grow. Really, thank you for watching and thank you for doing the work on yourself, because I think the more that each one of us heals and grows, the better we're able to create good environments where other people can heal and grow. And really forget about growing. Healing itself and addressing your fears is a big step. And sometimes that's enough. Sometimes it's good enough that people are having hopes and dreams. That can be inspiring. And inspiration can be more powerful than fear. Hope you enjoyed the video or got something out of it. See you in the next one.
So this is Habib from the editing room floor. Just to announce that next week I'm doing a live informal typing of Asmongold, and that'll be episode 2 of my live informal typing series. So I'm keeping this typing series going every 2 weeks, and it'll just be like a typing class, and there are no guarantees for accuracy. That's my disclaimer. I hope to see you then.